Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Casual Sports Podcast. I'm Alec Brenner. That's Matt Morrison. Mike Wolfgang here on Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May. How's it going, everybody?
Oh, it's
Pretty
beautiful outside. Couldn't be going better.
Let's hope it stays that way because it's supposed to rain tonight and drop back down to the 40s, and I got a game at 7, so we're hoping that holds off a little bit longer.
I hope you can get it in, man.
Yeah.
I know. I was just looking at radar over there in Struthers, and right now meteorologists are saying it's going to start raining at 7, and I'm just like, well, I guess I'm taking towels to the game tonight.
Pretty tense. So you cover everything up.
I gotta get one of those umbrella hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do, man. You
Matt,
would look wonderful in the
Matt looks sweet in that.
Can you imagine a guy 6'5" just walking around campus with a freaking umbrella hat? It's only going to help his eyebrows. I mean, the rest of him's going to be drenched.
Sitting there calling games while he's wearing that.
It's just going to be running right onto the computer right in front of him, ruining his device.
It would make no difference, Matt. But you look funny in it.
You would look hilarious, yeah. It'd be wonderful. It's got to be the rainbow ones, too. Just so fun.
I'll wear my Pit Vipers with them.
That would look even better.
That looked like something, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Extra bonus points here. Can anybody tell me what Cinco de Mayo actually celebrates?
Drinking.
Matt, I was just about to tell you, don't say drinking.
Isn't there their version of the 4th of July?
I think it's definitely. I think that's part of it. It's commemorating the victory over the French Empire at the Battle of Puebla in 1862.
Wow, Matt, you knew that. I'm surprised.
Hell yeah. Well,
he paid attention in history class sometimes.
Probably not.
Sometimes.
He probably just Googled it as we spoke.
Well, listen. I took Spanish for 2 years, and the main things I paid attention to were Cinco de Mayo and the Day of the Dead. Those are just why interested.
Don't they drink and eat a lot on both of those days?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just paid attention to it because it's a party. I'm like, all right, I gotta go do that. We also learned about
unbelievable.
Well, I think it was in a history class. We learned about the La Carnival, the huge festival in Rio. I'd love to do that too. That our mutual friend, the guy who worked at Republic Pizza for a little bit, actually did that. That they cancel school and everything for a whole month. Nobody goes to work or anything for a whole month, and they just go down there and party. I'd love to do that.
We know you.
I know.
That'd be the scene, man.
We'd never see Matt again.
No, probably would not.
He would not leave. Well, how about we get into some actual sports here? Horizon League Baseball. 20 days left in the season, guys. We're closing down on the end of it here, despite the fact, it feels like all of this just started, but Horizon League championships start on the 25th. That's when, everything goes. NCAA regional tournament starts beginning of June. So we're closing in on the finale here of the season. And at the moment, Wright State's got a commanding lead over pretty much everybody. There are now 2 teams over 500, 1 team sitting at 500 with UIC. And there's a couple teams that I think are starting to drop off a little bit. Milwaukee looks to be completely out of the race here. Youngstown State, if they make a good turnaround and Wright State were to lose a bunch along with the guys in front of them, they might have a chance still. But at the moment, it looks like it's coming down to probably a 2-team race between Wright State and UIC. Oakland might be able to have a say in that. It'll definitely have to depend on the winning percentages. But Wright State at 14-4 in conference play, they're looking really solid at this point in the season.
Yeah, and YSU actually has a doubleheader against Wright State on Sunday.
Yeah.
So that'll be a tough one to get through. Like you just said, they're one of the better teams. And then their schedule's not weak to finish out, but it's definitely kind of somewhat in their favor. So they got some time, or not time. Their schedule's running out, but they could still make up some ground. Yeah,
they got some teams that are a little farther down. They do have to take on Ann Arbor, though. Michigan, I should say, on Wednesday. So hopefully they'll lose that one.
What? They get University of Michigan?
Yeah, that team up north.
Oh, jeez.
Horizon League scheduled a lot of Big Ten games this season. It seemed to be their
they beat Penn State, didn't they?
Yeah, they got a couple of big wins.
Yeah.
They beat Pitt once.
They did beat Pitt. They made it close with Ohio State. Ohio State walked them off, I believe. So
speaking of Ohio State, their top recruit right now, Landon Beitelcheese out of Canfield. dude, last night's game was pitching against Boulder over there on scene 3. He had 3 or 4 MLB scouts there to watch him.
Are you serious? From what teams?
I heard Astros, Angels, Twins. I think were 3 the ones that I might have heard.
Oh wow!
So he's getting some serious attention.
Vital Sheets, I remember him. Long blonde hair.
They had the radar gun out for him. He was throwing at 93 miles an hour against Boardman. Damn. Boardman was winning, by the way, too. Boardman was up majority of the game 2-0. Right, the majority of the game, I think it was just a 1-0 game. They get an extra one, and then I heard Canfield walked it off in the bottom of the 7th to win it, 3-2.
Dang, 93. He's blowing it by, guys.
Yeah. I just want to point this out there. I just want a Boardman-Canfield 7-game series because I think Boardman might be the only team in the state of Ohio that's beaten Canfield.
I mean, that'd be awesome.
Because I know they have the one loss there.
I saw Boardman lose to Berea.
2 out-of-state teams.
Yeah. How good is Boardman? What's their record?
Boardman, I think they're 10-6, 11-6, something like that. Okay. I know they took a bad loss not that long ago.
To Berea.
Yeah, to Berea, who was at least only 4 via what they have out online. But
that was at Eastwood Field. I was there for that game. But
but let's take it here in Horizon League. We'll start off UIC going into the weekend. They need some much-needed wins here, and they will start out on Saturday, doubleheader on both days of the weekend. They got Northern Kentucky on their first Saturday. Purdue-Fort Wayne will be on the second, of which after what they've done so far and the fact that, Fort Wayne's definitely coming up, and now they've dropped 6 in a row coming in, I think you got a good chance right now. UIC sweeps the weekend, and you're looking at them coming out of here 14-5 next week and really going to make a show up to Wright State here to potentially steal it.
Yeah, it could very well go down like that.
They're coming off of massive wins over Purdue-Fort Wayne, 21-5, defeated Northwestern 13-0.
Sorry, I was trying to pull up
Northwestern.
The team's playing. Sorry.
Yeah, they blew off Northwestern 13-0. So this is definitely a team right now in UNC. They're heating up, and they're going to have Youngstown State in Oakland next weekend, and they got another series against Youngstown actually to finish out the season. So UIC is really in a great spot unless Youngstown wants to upset that here after next week. But Northern Kentucky, Purdue, Fort Wayne, I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge for the second team right now in the Horizon League in UIC.
Yeah, sitting right there, sitting pretty good in second place. I think I'm trying to do the math here. The team Oakland behind them, I think they're like 3 games back or something like that. Actually, they have better winning percentage, but UIC is looking pretty good. At least finishing top 3.
Yeah,
it seems like a lot of Horizon
teams, maybe.
Seems like a lot of Horizon teams are doing pretty good against the Big Ten teams.
Surprisingly, yeah.
So yeah, that is a pretty huge surprise. Yeah.
All right, next squad up here, Milwaukee. Don't have a lot of confidence going into the weekend. They got Wright State on Sunday in a doubleheader on Friday against Purdue-Fort Wayne, all 4 of them on the road. And Milwaukee's currently last place in the Horizon League. They're getting swept this weekend. I don't see them taking one of these games.
That's going to be tough. See if they can maybe take 1 or 2 to spoil something, but Wright State's just a way better team, and it's going to be hard.
Yeah,
I think it'd be in a sweep too, but we'll see.
Well, Northern Kentucky, I should say, coming up next year. As mentioned, they have doubleheaders against Milwaukee, UIC. Probably finish this weekend out 2-2. Their team kind of feels like what they've been going. They might steal an extra one, but I don't see anything more coming out of that. Oakland, they got Wright State. Really big matchup on Friday. That doubleheader is going to be very important to conference standings. And they have it at home at Rochester, Michigan. Then they're going to have Milwaukee on Sunday in a doubleheader on the road. They'll definitely take the 2 against Milwaukee. I could see them potentially splitting here against Wright State. They're not too far back. They're starting to heat up on a 3-game win streak. They just jumped over the 500 mark, became just the second team in the Horizon League to do it. So I think they got a good chance here to potentially upset Wright State in one of these games and, 1, keep themselves in contention, and 2, really open the door for UIC.
That Oakland Wright State series, that's going to be fun. Really fun.
After that, we'll touch on Wright State here, what they got this weekend. As you mentioned, they're going to have Youngstown State on this Sunday on a doubleheader. Oakland, as we just talked about there. So I think Wright State's really got a good shot coming out of this weekend, 3-1. I like Youngstown. Obviously, they're our school, but we just went on a 3-game series against them and didn't beat them once. We were close in the first game, but lost the Saturday-Sunday series by a margin of 3-20 in those 2 games. So not entirely confident. They're on a huge losing streak right now. They don't really seem to have much momentum. So, Wright State's got a good chance coming out 3-1 this weekend.
Yeah, you're not playing well at all. 5 straight losses. Like you said, those last 2 games of that Wright State series, giving up 10 runs each game, that's not going to get it done against a team like that. You got to limit your mistakes and limit how many runs you give up. So they got to clean that up.
Well, Youngstown State and Purdue Fort Wayne were supposed to have a doubleheader tomorrow over there at Eastwood Field. Those 2 games have been canceled, so only games for Purdue Fort Wayne this weekend will be at UIC, which we talked about, and Youngstown State at Wright State, which we already talked about. So that's what we got for the Horizon League here today. That being said, let's go into the NBA because we went NHL first yesterday, so we'll kick it this week. We started off yesterday in the NBA. There's actually no games today, by the way. It's travel day for the first time here in the playoffs, but we won't have any games. It'll be kind of weird. This will be the first time in quite a few months we haven't had NBA on a given day.
Yeah, probably around the All-Star break or something.
That they're not having a game on Cinco de Mayo. Like, I feel that needs to be a thing, honestly.
I mean, it usually is. Not a thing, but there's usually games.
Yeah. I don't know.
Who would be the best team to have play on?
You just want to make more of a party day.
Yeah, You
just want to make more of a party day than it already is.
So? We got hockey on. It's already a party day.
I don't know. Miami probably wouldn't be that bad of a team to have play on Cinco de Mayo. But they played yesterday. They defeated the Sixers again, 119-103. Guys, what were your takeaways from that game last night?
Not much, honestly. Miami's a way better team. James Harden.
Clean sweep. Clean sweep.
I know we talked about yesterday, but it's yesterday and after game 1. But it's just.
I'm not
saying James Harden stinks, but it's just when it's just him.
But
man.
You're saying he stinks.
No, well, he's out of. I think it goes back to when he was trying to get back out of Houston. He's still not in shape, and I think that shows when he's not getting as much separation on his shots. He's not getting much lift on his shots because he's out of shape. Still out of shape.
Part of it, Mike, but I think the other part is the NBA finally adapted to him. I mean,
that's true.
People have a game style that works perfectly until you get figured out. And with the changes in the rule books where he's not allowed to get to the free throw line as much as he used to be able to get to because they kind of changed the rules on how that works. Can't launch into, the defender. You have to go straight up as the shooter or follow the natural shooting motion of the direction you were going. You can't alter. I think that's impacted his game because I don't think it's to anyone's denial. James Harden was an expert of getting to the free throw line, whether you approve of the way he did it or what. He knew how to use the rules to his advantage, and sometimes that is a huge part of someone's game. They understand the game of basketball to a level that they can kind of expose some of its flaws to make themselves better. I mean, James Harden's still a guy putting up 20 points. When you look at any other guy around the league that we're not saying a superstar, if he's putting up 20 points tonight, we're calling him a rising star. Unfortunately, this is still the later stages of James Harden's career. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. He is getting up there in ages. He's 32 years old. He's on the end of his prime years here. And, as you say, he's falling out of shape. I don't think he's out of shape. I think he's starting to fall out. He's entering that end of his career mode where you aren't just putting up 20 points a game. He can't carry a team by himself anymore. He could back in Houston. He could put up 50 points a game, and he could be a straight-up baller. That's not him anymore. You saw it last night. He was the third leading scorer for his team, but number 1 in assists. He is changing his game to really make this team better. Unfortunately, this team is one Joel Embiid away from being in a competitive series against the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler said it yesterday after the game. He's like, I want to go up against the guy I consider to be the MVP. I want Joel Embiid on the floor. And everybody wants Joel. And, we'll get to see whether or not he's able to return for Friday's matchup when they head back to Philly. I think everybody really hopes that he does so that they can maybe make this thing a series. But at this point, Miami took their games at home. Now it's time for Philly to turn the series around, get theirs at home, find a way to use that crowd to your advantage, and they need more than 3 guys to do it. Because last night, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, and James Harden were the only ones that put up decent numbers. Maybe Furkan Korkmaz, considering he led the team in rebounding, which is an embarrassment to DeAndre Jordan, by the way, because DeAndre Jordan had 5 rebounds and Korkmaz had 6 with 8 points. Philly really needs to figure out a center situation here, or they need to learn how to play small ball. I mean, they have a guy in James Harden that was an expert at small ball back in Houston. I think they need to pick his brain here, use this day off to kind of figure some things out, trim down the strategy, and take DeAndre Jordan out of the lineup. He's clearly becoming a liability. He cannot hold it together against Bam Adebayo, and unfortunately, that might cost them this series if Joel Embiid can't come back.
And I think another thing, too, you're talking about the scoring. Danny Green only had 3 points last night.
Yeah.
And I think
Danny Green used to be an on-fire player.
I think the big thing, too, here is when that trade happened with them and the Nets, the one thing I was kind of worried about, and I saw a lot of people that were right and they were worried about, too, is they had to give up Seth Curry. And I think at this point in James Harden's career, like we just talked about Alec, it's not that he stinks. He's limited in what the stuff that he used to do. He still can do a lot, but it's just not as much he used to do. So I think if he's at the top of the key and he can't get as much separation on his shot anymore, and he can't get the highest lift, as he's going up for his shot, get some shooters around him. And they lost that giving up Seth Curry. They had a guy like him, and they had to give him away. And these guys that are around him right now, Danny Green's not getting it done. 3 points in a playoff game. That's got to be better. He's starting.
We need Danny Green that was with the Spurs, man.
Even with Toronto.
Danny Green that
even
was
with Toronto
2 years ago.
Yeah.
That helped them get to a championship. You need that guy who can go drop you 4 threes in the entire game. That's not asking a lot. You're asking a 3-point shooter to, get 4 of them. I don't think that's a big ask, but at the same time, we talk about, James Harden coming into the end of his career. Same could be said for Danny Green. He's 34 years old. Yeah. He's way past what would be considered his prime. The fact he got a title with Los Angeles is, speaks values to, what his career has been. He got that one back in 2019 because he was drafted in 2009 by Cleveland. His second year, he put up 16 points per game. He didn't play very much, but then he got shifted to the Spurs. And, that's where he played in the peak years of his career, where he was putting up 25 points per game. And,
he was there 7 years.
Not 25 points per game, about 10 points per game. There, I was looking at minutes played, not points per. My bad. But as mentioned, Danny Green's 34 years old. He's old. Yeah. We talked about this yesterday. Can't expect everybody to be LeBron James and Steph Curry and ball out way past their prime. I was just looking up exact dates here, and we consider 26 to 31 years old to be prime years for NBA athletes. You look at the 76ers lineup. They got a lot of guys on that cutoff.
And they do. I think with the thing last night too,
another one, 33.
And I know last night they put up 103 points, but they shot 8 of 30 from the 3-point range. That's not good in a playoff game. You're trying to win the road. That's about 26%. That's not great. That's not going to get it done.
Right, and then you allow the opponent to shoot nearly 50% from 3-pointer when they take about the same amount as you do. Yeah, you can't live with that.
That whole season
in this game, to no one's
the whole season with the Sixers has just been a dumpster fire. The whole Ben Simmons stuff,
and now Ben Simmons is out 3 to 4 months for the Nets. Granted, that's pretty much going to take us the next season anyway. So
and now with Embiid out, I'd just be happy to get in the playoffs.
I think at this point, I think a realistic fan would be. But I don't think Philadelphia has a lot of realistic fans.
No, I was there. Nobody there is realistic.
It's a big city, so the realistic fans kind of get lost in the, excitement of the big city and all that. I mean, it's one of the biggest cities in PA, if not the biggest. I don't know if Pittsburgh is bigger or not. I don't think it is.
No, I got to say Philly is probably bigger.
That's what I thought. And, you lose some of that realistic fans and, all the super fans going, oh, it's our year. Yeah, we're going to win it all. Type mentalities. And I think that's kind of what you see every time this team struggles. This is a city that really wants to be successful. I think they want to be Boston. Philly has always kind of felt like Boston. They want to be tough. They want to be, kind of trashy. They want to win.
They got that.
Yeah, exactly. they have both pieces of Boston that make them what they are, but they can't win like Boston can.
I mean, they can't win like Boston can, but and again, you could say it's about a lot of cities and a lot of sports fan bases, but Philly is. If you're doing great, they love you. If you're doing great, they don't want any part of you. I think we saw it this year with
it's true.
The one guy in the Phillies where he had 2 errors in an inning and they booed him.
Fair weather fans.
They will turn on you like it's nothing.
Right. In all the major sports, they have just 2 championships in this century. 2008 with the Phillies in Major League Baseball, 2017 with the Eagles in the NFL. The NBA, they haven't seen a title here since 1983 with the Philadelphia 76ers.
With Dr. J.
Yeah, they won another one in 67. Before that, though, you have to go back to when they were called the Philadelphia Warriors, and they won it in 56. So this is a city that I feel like really wants to be that next step up and be
they got a World Series,
city,
right?
But they just aren't. Yeah, back in 2008 and 1980 were there too.
Okay.
And I'd probably say the Phillies have been their most consistent team the last couple decades.
Yeah, they have been. What were you just saying about like Philly fans?
Me?
No, Alec. Like 2-3 minutes ago. Not how they're fair weather, but you said something, and I just brought something up. Like they get excited over things that don't happen.
Or something like that.
They want to be. I don't know, but. Well, I was in line at going into the Sixers game. Like, they were getting all excited about Jason Kelce signing back, their old center, who's 34 years old. I'm like, you guys are getting excited over that? Like, they're jumping up in the air and stuff. I mean, no, I wouldn't.
If the Steelers brought back some guy that was good in his prime.
Big Ben?
Yeah, if they brought back like Villanueva or somebody, you'd be happy just because he was there.
Oh, God, no. Villanueva needed to go. He couldn't block for crap.
And now he has an offensive line that still can't block for crap.
Yeah, but at least we got rid of him. He went to Baltimore, and we got more sacks on Lamar Jackson because of him. It's true.
Okay. No one was denying that.
All right.
But I was just saying, I mean, I think Philly wants to be this superstar city, but they aren't. And I think the realism kind of left the door because they're one of those big cities. And your realistic fans, they fall by the wayside because of the, in-your-face fans that everyone, pays attention to because they're the one making headlines, throwing trash on the field or doing anything like that.
The one thing everybody idolizes in their city is fictional. That's Rocky. I'm like, I'm saying that. When I'm saying that, it's serious because you know how I like Rocky. Like, they cherish this guy. They got him a statue. They got steps and stuff like that, and he's fake. Like, that's all they got.
The steps were already there.
Yeah, but they didn't
make the
steps
up the statue,
and they put his name up there above the steps too. So, like, I mean.
Yeah,
that's all they got.
Icon. A lot of places have stuff like
that.
Cleveland just named a stupid team after some statues on a bridge.
Yeah.
We have no room to talk.
Even though they said they didn't, though. They said that it wasn't because of that, but it was.
Yeah, it was. But you don't see, like I get Rocky's a successful franchise and stuff like that, but you don't see other cities doing stuff like that. Like, what's another franchise? I don't know. We can't say Harry Potter because where would you put a Harry Potter commemoration?
Disney or Universal Studios in California and Florida.
Well, they do that, but I'm talking. Yeah, that is true.
All right,
I was just thinking about the Major League movie, but like, you don't see them putting a statue up with Charlie Sheen in Cleveland.
No, people walk around with Ricky Vaughn jerseys like it's nothing.
You mean like me having one in my closet right back there?
You don't wear it.
Yeah, but you don't see a statue and stuff of them.
No, we just call every guy who comes into Cleveland and as a closer a wild thing.
No, they gave away. Gosh, he was the guy that had the thing in his locker.
Yeah. He had.
Yeah, there you go. They gave away bobbleheads of it that one year.
I bought this at the stadium.
Well, not that one, but they gave away one year. So there's your answer.
Well, we're getting way off track here. The other game last night, the Suns took
What was
game 2
the
against
other
the
game?
Mavericks. We got a little too casual here in the Casual Sports Podcast. Reeling it back in. Suns taking 129-109 last night. Doncic goes for 35 again, and it doesn't matter. The Mavs do not have enough to keep up in this series. We've seen that through the first 2 games. I mean, you shouldn't have to see Luka Doncic put up 80 points in 2 games and then lose both of them by double digits at this point. I mean, it almost feels embarrassing.
I mean, I do like, though.
I do like his numbers, and you even got a guy like Reggie Bullock who stepped up. Dinwiddie got a little bit more involved, but Brunson went quiet, and Dwight Powell did nothing. Dwight Powell started at center, 0 rebounds. He got absolutely decimated on the rebounds last night. Again, you look rebounds total. Suns had 34, Mavs had 25. There really wasn't a ton to speak of, which was kind of weird. But the fact that they got out rebounded by a fairly large margin again, I mean, it's speaking values to the fact that this team is a long way off from where I think a lot of people thought they might be at, and they don't have what it takes to compete against a team like the Suns.
Well, that goes to what I was saying with Dwight Powell. He's undersized for a starting center, and they don't have anybody else behind him.
Right.
And like you said, I do like Reggie Bullock getting 16. I think that's a big boost, but they didn't get anything from anywhere else because Dorian Finney-Smith only had 2 points. That's not good enough.
Like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
he got 2 points.
2 points. I mean, I know he helps you out on both ends, but if Luka needs help, like you just said, you can't have 2 points starting when you're small forward in this lineup or one of the forwards. So I mean, they got Dinwiddie had 11, but you'd like to see him get more. You thought he would do more than that after that trade, but they just don't have enough, and they don't have depth at center. That's something they need to get out in the offseason.
They have Boban Marjanovic, who doesn't even play.
Yeah, his knees are terrible. He can't. I saw it live like 2 years ago. He can't even run, so that's not going to do anything. And I mean, this guy's available. They get this
back
offseason.
To Davis Bertans though, off the bench, bringing him up there. He got 19 minutes. He got 9 points. At this point, I would like to see them experiment more with the bench guys. Just see if they can get something. I mean, Marquise Chris played 5 minutes, got 5 points and 2 rebounds in 5 minutes. I would give that guy probably 10 to 15 when they go to play next. Just see, because at this point, you got nothing to lose.
See what
you're falling apart. Your guy has done all he can, and you're not getting any reinforcements from the guys you want. Go see if somebody off the bench is willing to step up.
Yeah, and at this point, you're playing, like you said, they're kind of playing with house money. They got nothing to lose. Go home and see what these guys can do that don't get as much playing time, because we often say in the playoffs, guys play better at home. So if you play a guy like Marquise Chris, and I mean, he might actually do better at home and feed off the crowd. So you've seen that happen all the time in the playoffs. So I would give that an experiment. Heck yeah. 5 points in 5 minutes. I mean, double that. I mean, you get 5 more points, 10 more points. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I'd be at this point, you just got to experiment around, I think, if you're the coach down there. I mean, you say they have nothing to lose. There's always something to lose.
Well, yeah.
But at the same time, when you're down 2-0 to the best team,
you lose the game.
You got to do something. You got to make a change up. And I think what you're going to see in the rest of the series is when they come back Thursday to Dallas, or Friday to Dallas, there's not going to be a change up, and they're going to lose this series.
And this is a team that, with last night, they've now lost 11 straight games to Phoenix. They just can't. It's just a bad matchup.
I mean,
it's a State Farm series. It's a State Farm series. Chris Paul and Boban Marjanovic.
I'm taking them out.
No, you can't do that.
Yes.
No.
You can't do that. Yes, you can.
Mike can do it too.
I can do it to you too, Matt, but I won't do that.
Well.
Mike, what are you doing?
Yeah. There's no way I'm going to believe Mike did that.
Okay.
I'll just mute you.
Listen, I wasn't the one. Listen, I wasn't the first one to say this. I just searched Boban, and that's the first thing that popped up. Like I said, it right here.
Okay,
Farm.
Good breakdown there, Matt. Bringing up the State Farm commercials.
Not sponsored. I love that the first picture as well, if you type in Boban, is him eating a basketball.
Yeah, I saw it. He probably does eat.
Type Boban into Google, and it's just him eating a basketball.
That's awesome. You gotta like him. He's just a good character.
You do, but at the same time, like, you don't want to like him.
He was in the John Wick movie.
I never saw
the third one. He got killed by a book.
Well, since there's no games going on tonight, we'll move on here and go into the NHL. As last night, Carolina extended up to 2-0 over Boston. Tampa Bay held on 5-3 over Toronto. The Minnesota Wild took down St. Louis 6-2 in a big one. In Edmonton, made a good second game out of it. Took down the Kings 6-0. So all but one series from last night is now 1-1. Carolina, and obviously 2-0 over it. What were your takeaways, guys, from last night in those games that you saw?
First of all, my takeaway was I was 3-1 on these games. I should have bet them. The only one I got wrong was St. Louis.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much we all went that way. So
yeah.
Matt,
what was your favorite game last night?
Well, I mean, it was like 11 o'clock, not even out of the first period in the Oilers game. So I didn't really watch too much of it, but I did watch the Boston Hurricanes game. So that's pretty much the only game I watched, and I enjoyed it. So
I didn't watch that game, but I saw some things on Twitter, and it just looks like Carolina's a more physical team.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw some hits that they put on some Boston players. They were going after it.
Boston's physical, but let me put this in the nicest way ever. Boston's old, Carolina's young. There you go.
I thought you were going to say something nice about Boston for a minute.
That's never going to happen.
They're all old.
They could come back and win the Stanley Cup this season, sweep everybody else, don't lose another game for the rest of the playoffs, and you still go, oh, they're old.
They got lucky.
They're old. Yeah. They're washed. It was a fluke. The refs helped them.
I don't think Matt would even come on the show if that happened. You just
I want to come on the show. They come out. If they make it out of the first series, I'm not coming back on.
Oh, man.
That's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
I don't think they will, but
I hope not.
No,
I can't stand every one of those players.
My favorite one last night was probably Tampa Bay.
How would you feel if the Bruins came back and then beat your Penguins in the next round?
Yeah, because that's who we would play.
That's the next
we'd
round.
We'd need to buy a new TV.
Would you smash it or throw it out the window? What would you do to it?
Yes. You'd throw it out the window and throw it like a Bills fan.
Yeah, we need a new window, too, then.
You could open the window.
There wouldn't be enough time when he's that frustrated, because then he would have to open it, and it's just quicker to throw it through the glass.
No, Matt would just try and pick up the TV and throw it, but it's still connected to the wall, so he'd just probably try and
rip the wall out
back and like hit him in the face or something.
Probably. My dad would be like, "Here, I'll help."
I wouldn't want to be in your house.
No, not gonna happen. Well, let's get on that before the cops get called or something. So tonight's games. Oh, great. We got to talk about Pittsburgh here to start it off. They got the New York Rangers game 2 of the series. They took game 1. You know, obviously you guys both took
it was a nail biter.
Game 1. I did say the Rangers were going to take this series here. I mean, I've said that a lot. I kind of like the way this team has been working this season. And I think maybe I'm most impressed with their defense rather than the offense. And I think you've kind of seen that against Pittsburgh so far, you know, obviously in just the one game of the series. But, you know, I kind of like what they got going on right now. I know they lost, but with all of our other series pretty much getting tied up last night, I think you got a good shot for it here again. I mean, defense forced 3 overtimes. I want to see if either squad has any sort of hangover effect from going that deep. I mean, you just played 2.
They get a day off.
Basically, they had a day off. But you're basically playing 2 hockey games in a day, which the last time some of those guys did that, it might be, you know, quite some time since they did that back in, you know, Pee-wee hockey. So I don't think there's any hangover effect. And I think there's a good shot Rangers take this, especially being at home. You know, they got to go back to their mansions and, you know, get their pedicures and stuff. Well, you know, the Penguins got to sit in a hotel room, probably had some massages and, you know, team practices and whatnot. But it was a lot more formal for them. Rangers got to go home and relax. So there hasn't really been a day off for Pittsburgh since that game. It's been business for them.
And we're used to it, though.
Got a little bit more of, you know, that layoff. Hey, go relax. Let that weight off your shoulders here a little bit. Come back fresh. So I think they might be a little bit more ready to go coming off some home cooking.
Matt's going to make fun of me for saying this, but I was listening to radio again today. And
93.
Every day. Every day. What's wrong with that? We do a podcast. I'm listening to radio. What's wrong with that?
The fan, man. I gotta start listening to it.
I listen to it every day. Every morning when I'm driving. But
I don't drive every morning, so.
Well, whatever. But no, they were touching on Alex's point he just made about pretty much playing 2 games in one day. And at this point, maybe that is less of an advantage for Pittsburgh because they're older than New York is, but it's still the first round of the playoffs. I don't think fatigue would be that much of a factor until maybe late in the second round, at the beginning of the conference finals.
I disagree with you there on the fatigue. You're coming off of a long season and you jump right into the playoffs. You go in.
I'm gonna put this out here.
I think you get less fatigue later in the playoffs because you have a chance sometimes for travel days and potential sweep, or you're waiting on your opponent on the other side to finish off their series. You get some extra days in there. I disagree with you on the fact that they get more fatigue later. You're coming off of a long season right into the playoffs. Now you're basically playing 2 games in one day, and you got to go back to it in a day, not the next day but the day after. I think they're going to be more fatigued now than you're going to see later.
I feel that.
As you just mentioned,
I'll put this out here, though. Pittsburgh on the road, their home and away records are pretty similar. 23-12 and 6 overtime losses on the road. 23-13 and 5 overtime losses at home.
They play better on the road, Matt.
They're better on the road, and I know I've been getting on them about losing in overtime, but hey, at least they're used to playing in overtime. 11 overtime losses, and that's just the losses. They play in overtime a lot. So, they got overtime experience.
And I think the one thing you can take away from game one that is an advantage for Pittsburgh. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. New York has had their number all year long. I think they've been the first time, and then Rangers have been getting them every time. And I think they just got sick of losing to them in tight fashions like that. Close game all game, tied or losing or winning by 1 all game, and they just got sick of it. Some players, might have not played the best. I know Evgeny Malkin scored the winning goal, but that's probably the best thing he did all game. He was slow on defense. He fumbled some passes too. He had a wide open lane. Gensel or Russ or somebody shot a pass over back to him. He was wide open to get a shot, and it went right through his legs. He didn't even control it. So there's some work that needs to be done. Gensel is on his game. Crosby's on his game. Jeff Carter could be a little bit more better. Chris Letang could be a lot better than
9-12, by the way, your overtime record this season.
9-12. So we played a lot in overtime.
Matt, I like how you're talking about Malkin and Gensel, because I think the one thing you can be happy about or say it was an advantage for the Penguins in that first game was their first line with Gensel.
Russ is there too.
I know Malkin wasn't playing as well, but he did have.
Here's another thing.
Rangers were 8 in overtime, by the way. So
they were what?
8-6 overall in overtime. So they had 14 overtime games.
Okay. So
compared to your 21, so about 7 more you guys played.
Yeah. It's a difference, but another thing is we're always seeing the same line score. We're always seeing that Malkin line with Gensel score. And we need to see the other line score, the line with Teddy Bluger and Evan Rodriguez and Matheson. We need to see those lines score too. One line can't just get the job done.
I agree.
I think that speaks to the defense, though, the Rangers, though, especially in this series, holding them down. Definitely a Penguins team that has shown a high ability to score this season. They're up there when it comes to goals. 272 scored on the season thus far. That was one of the highest marks in the Metropolitan Division. Third highest behind the Capitals and Hurricanes, who were in first. But, you compare that over to a couple other of the divisions, they'd be up there in the top 3 or 4 in every single. So they can definitely score a lot. And the Rangers definitely were one of the lowest scoring major teams here this past season. We look at the defense. That's been the big step up here in the postseason. That's going to make the biggest impact because offense comes and goes. Defense is forever.
And another thing why I think we personally won that game is, Mike, you've been watching all year. They don't shoot the pucks. They are always the team that have lesser shots on goals than the other team. We had more shots on goals. I think we had over 60 shots on goals.
Oh yeah, they had I think at one point they had.
They're never a team to have more shots on goals than the other team. They're shooting more, so that's why they're scoring more. They got to keep up with that too. Keep shooting it. Don't fumble around the passes. Don't wait. Square up and shoot it. It gives time. It gives less time for the goaltender to adjust. If you sit and pass that puck around like they do most of the time, that goaltender is just going to follow it. If you're quick and shoot it after 1 or 2 passes, eventually it's going to go in.
Matt, numbers from that game: 83 shots on goals for the Penguins. Rangers were 68.
That's a big
83
difference.
Shots on goals.
And I think, Matt, for a team like them that coming down the stretch this season, they have their offense has been pretty good, but it's coming down the stretch. They had a little bit of trouble scoring. I mean, that's pretty good. And when you consider the older team and the slower team in the series, take all the shots you can take. Any chance you get of any type of look, just shoot it.
Yeah, just shoot it.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the one problem in this series. Rangers might be too selective when it comes to goals. I mean, you're going up against an obviously very intelligent Pittsburgh Penguins team. They're not going to give you a lot of open looks. When those are available, you got to give them a shot. And that's why the Penguins were able to take that game. They took advantage of those open looks because they know they have to in the playoffs.
That was a good point, Matt, about the shots.
Yeah,
and aren't like a team that's
you
going to
shoot.
you.
And for a goaltender like Igor Shesterkin, and the guy has a 952 save percent, so you got to shoot on him. He had 79 saves, that in that game. Or I think something like that. I guess 79 saves. So still, that's an amazing performance. We wouldn't have scored anything on him if we had 60 shots on goals.
And
we wouldn't have done anything.
The thing is, there any word on Casey DeSmith yet or no?
I don't know.
Because I don't even remember I don't even pay attention to what the actual injury he had was. I don't know if he was cramping or what, but
I'll look at it.
The thing is that if Domingue has to end up going again tonight, or at any point further in the series, he has to start Game 3. I like how the Rangers kept going at him because he took that challenge on. Like I said yesterday, first 10 shots.
Day on it.
Oh, he is okay. But I mean, Matt, with the Smith, I know he gave up the 3 goals, but I liked the way he was playing in that game before he got hurt. And I told you when they were down 1-0 or 2-0. I remember I was telling you they weren't really playing that bad.
We've seen a lot of those third string guys come up and do great. I mean, Matt Murray was one at the time.
Here's your injury report for the day, by the way. Louis Domingo will start for the Penguins tonight. Jason Zucker is a game-time decision. Casey DeSmith and Rickard Rakell are out. Tristan Jerry
Raquel
has not
Rickard Rakell
yet. So that was per your head coach Mike Sullivan.
Okay, I love the way you said that, man. Rickard Rakell.
That's how it looks. I mean,
that is how it looks.
Yeah, it does.
He got slammed with that hit against him. That's I want to say that should have been a penalty, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to the next games here. We got lots more to talk about, and we're expecting the Penguins to, at least you guys are, to make the run here. I got Rangers going at it tonight, though. You guys are obviously taking Pittsburgh in a sweep.
It's be tight.
Well, I think
I'm not taking them in a sweep. Oh, no.
Sweep on the road.
Matt, you're going to pick your team to lose?
No.
Yeah. Well, then you're picking them for a sweep.
Yeah.
I picked Penguins in 6.
Yeah. Mike, I'm not doing this on you. I'm doing this on Matt because he can't back himself up.
Well, I'm gonna pick them tonight because
yesterday.
I'm gonna pick them tonight because I'm a fan of them, but I would expect.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
And I kind of do, to be honest. But
next game, then Washington, Florida, Game 2. Capitals had a good first game, and obviously I think that playoff experience propel that. And they came off a 4-game losing skid to end out the season. Opened up Game 1 with the playoffs. Of the playoffs with a win. I think Panthers are coming back, though. I mean, you look at them and 58, 18, and 6 throughout the entire season. A team that was under 20 losses. They're not going to lose many here in the playoffs. I expect them to come back here with a vengeance. They had that highest differential that I've been looking at all season long, and I'm gonna take the Panthers here to roll it in Game 2. I think.
Go ahead, Matt. I heard you yelling fluke. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I'm yelling the Panthers. Washington scampered one out, and that's it.
I don't think it was
luck. They won't win another game. Huh?
I don't think it was luck.
I didn't
you make it sound like they got lucky. I don't think it was luck.
I said they
just took it.
I said they scampered.
That's like saying they. That's
saying they're old and they got.
You just said it was a fluke.
Yeah, but.
That's kind of like saying luck, but
dig yourself your own grave, Matt. Keep going.
Okay, all right. I'll come out and say it was luck.
I don't think it was, but I think I think more of it was just that Florida came out flat, and I don't expect them to do that.
How about this though? Claude Giroux, man, I talked about this the other day. A longtime Philadelphia Flyer scored a goal for the Panthers. I can't believe that, man. Old man Giroux, still doing it. He was the captain of the Flyers. Okay, we were actually supposed to go see him. I think they cut him like a week before. We were looking at Flyers tickets, but. I didn't want to go anyways because I don't want to watch them. But Claude Giroux was like longtime captain for the Flyers, like his whole career, and they cut him. Now here he is, I mean, he's not a cap. Like to be playing on a team without that captain patch and still be doing stuff. I mean, got to give the guy some credit.
Matt, I mean, this is off topic, but just because you can't stand the team doesn't mean you can't go watch them.
I don't want to watch him.
I can't stand the St. Louis Cardinals, but if I had a chance to go to their stadium, I'd go. Just to say I went.
I went to the stadium. I just didn't watch them. I watched the Sixers.
You don't make sense.
She's like, which one? She was like, my aunt was like, which one do you want to go to? I'm like, I want to go to the Sixers Nets game. We might see some fights. Which
There's
we
more of a chance
didn't.
you seeing fights in a hockey game than basketball. You can't touch anybody in basketball.
I mean, we might. I was talking about fights in the stands, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You got a good chance on both of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get Brooklyners and Philadelphians. Yeah, I'd see it. All right, next game up, though, Nashville and Colorado, the 9:30 game in Colorado tonight. I think Colorado pulls it up 2-0 here in the series.
They're just way better. I think I showed that in the first game. They're
way better.
They're just too much for Nashville.
I have talked crap on them before, but I mean,
are you
I've
done doing it by now?
One game is a lot.
I mean, I've talked crap on Nashville too. So it might get a little harder for them, but I'll be surprised that it won't. Like they right now, it looks like a clear path to the Stanley Cup. But hey, I mean, we've seen teams falter in that position before. I mean,
they're one of them.
I know Tampa Bay happened to win back to back, but that first year that they were favored, they lost first round to Columbus. So, I mean, it can happen to anybody. But I don't see Colorado losing to Nashville. So
I think it's going to be a sweep. I think I call it to be a sweep.
Yeah.
I would like that one. Final game here of the day, Dallas and Calgary will finish out the night, 10 p.m. There was a close game in the first matchup there. It was 1-0. Flames just narrowed it out. I got Flames taking game 2, though. That was a good defensive effort by the Stars and a bad shooting night for the Flames. I don't think this is going to be a team you can count on to have bad shooting nights. And I don't think this is a team in Dallas that you can count on to really have great defense. I mean, they had one of the worst defenses in all of the Central Division during the regular season. It was a big part of why they finished 4th in the Central was because of their lack of defense, and they don't have a lot of offense, which you saw that. If their defense was able to hold Calgary to 1 and they couldn't score, what makes you think they're going to be able to find good ways to score in the rest of this series? I got Calgary taking game 2, no problems tonight.
By the way, Matt, no, I'm not picking Dallas to win tonight, and no, I didn't pick them to win the series. I picked them 1-5. I think they can maybe get one at home, but Calgary's just way better.
They're fast. They're flaming. You got flaming Johnny Gaudreau leading the way. That dude's got some speed. I mean, I say a lot of players have speed, but the main guys I usually talk about are Johnny Gaudreau, Jake Gensel, and then Connor McDavid. So we just happen to talk about them a lot. So
and I think
every time
Dallas last night,
they're fast. They're fast.
That's Matt's breakdown.
Matt, do they make fast people look not fast?
No.
No, okay. So they're not fast.
They make them look slow.
That's Matt's analysis of any team besides the Penguins.
If they're good, they're fast. They're fast, they're young, or they're old.
Yeah.
If you want to be Matt Morrison, send your applications to the Casual Sports Rep on Twitter, and all you got to do is say those 3 catchphrases.
You're good to go.
And we'll see if you want to fill in for Matt Morrison.
4 catchphrases. They're a bust.
Oh yeah, that's the other one. Yeah,
that's
bust.
the other one.
Yeah.
Or you're me.
Or if you just want to put an I don't know, you can do that too because it says
I don't know. I'm just sitting here listening to you.
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Well, I was looking back at our first ever draft recap that we were doing. Well, actually, live draft talk along about 2 years ago, and you just have the one moment where I go, Matt, who do you think's going here? And you just go, I don't know. Great analysis there by Matt Morrison.
Hey, we were starting out then. He didn't know.
Mike, you weren't there.
I remember the way it said it.
You weren't there for that draft day.
Was that on the show?
No, it was one of the ones we put on YouTube a long time ago.
Maybe I wasn't.
Draft day. We did the whole draft.
Yeah, Matt and I stayed up for that whole thing recording. It was the largest.
Oh, wasn't it during the draft?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I wasn't on that though, but I remember it.
Right.
I kept on saying, U-Tour's going to get drafted.
Long time ago.
Oh my gosh, I know.
It's like it's only 2 seasons, but it feels like a lifetime to go in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where the heck is the U-Tour Gross Matos? Is he still in Carolina?
I think
I
so.
believe so.
I mean, actually,
big dude.
I believe so.
So let's see what his 2021 stats were. He had 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 18 solo tackles for Carolina.
That's not too bad.
Not bad, but probably not what you want out of a second-round pick. Might not be living up to the hype. Let's finish off the show here with some Major League Baseball games going on right now. Angels and Red Sox in a good one. Middle of the fifth, still tied up at 0, and Shohei is up on the mound, so it's showtime in Boston. What do you guys think of this one? Boston, 3 hits right now. Angels with just 1.
I think
might be a fun one.
Yeah, it's pitcher's duel so far for sure. It's nothing. But I think these teams. Angels finally started out good, which we've been wanting to see, and the Red Sox haven't started out that great. And I think against a team like this that's starting out hot, Boston's got to catch on fire, especially at home. If you want to get back in the race here, you got to start winning at home first. But
I mean, they've lost 7 of their last 10 now.
Yeah, they're not where they want to be for sure. But
and they haven't been able to beat teams above 500. It's been a big piece of this too.
I'll tell you what, for this game so far, 5 innings, there's no score. Actually, I like this because there's been a lot of high scores this year. We actually get a traditional game where it's more of a pitcher's duel. You got Shohei on the mound; he's one of the better pitchers. So
yeah. And then Reds still terrible. Bottom of the third, it's already 7-3, and it was a blowout last night as Rowdy Tellez put up 8 RBIs, including a grand slam in the third inning and another home run along with it. Rowdy Tellez from Milwaukee.
Nice. He's sweet, yeah.
He's a big guy. He doesn't, he's more of a power guy. He's not a huge name, but he can get it done. 8 RBIs last night. I mean, it's not hard against the Reds, but the way they're playing. But no, they're just. I don't really know what happened to the Reds. They don't have bad players. I don't know what their 3 wins.
They have a bad team.
It's just not working.
Yeah.
I told you, Alec, you're the one.
A big part of it. You look at their overall record. You see 3-21. Go to the fact that of those 24 teams they played, 18 of them are currently above 500 in baseball.
Matt, I tried telling you too about the Reds because I told both of you the Pirates won't finish in last place.
Yeah, but I mean,
I want to see this schedule even out. I'm not going anywhere. Pittsburgh will fall.
Oh, Pittsburgh can fall apart. I know they will, but I don't know if it's going to be a pace like this.
Like I just said, I mean, 18 of their 24 games have been against teams over 500 right now in baseball. No one really has a great record above teams over 500 right now in the major leagues outside of a handful. I mean, you look at Cleveland, 1-11 against teams over 500. Even the Angels, who are first place in the AL West, just 5-4. Minnesota is 2-3. There's not one team in the AL Central that has a winning record above 500. Wait for the schedule to even out. And Mike, your Pittsburgh Pirates, 2-10 against teams over 500 as well.
Dude, I know.
The schedule is going to even out, and Cincinnati is going to go on a hot streak that everyone looks and go, wow, what's going on here? It's because they're going to finally face some teams that are probably on an even playing field instead of going up against teams like the Brewers, who are 17-8 right now in baseball.
I'm not saying at all that I know the Pirates are going to fall apart. They always do.
Right.
I mean, they're just not a good team. But
I'm just saying, let's not jump and go, oh, Cincinnati's the worst. Let's look at why their record is what it is.
Yeah, but let's see here, though. I mean, you're going to the teams are playing, which is fair. I mean, they played a lot of teams, 3 wins out of 24 games. But Joey Votto's haven't won his worst season so far.
Yeah.
That's your guy. He's not playing well at all. Tommy Pham, a guy they brought in, they thought he was going to be a bridge guy.
Again, he's old.
Tommy Pham's done
nothing. He really is old.
Yeah, he's 38. I'll give you that.
And the guys they brought in too to fill in some of the guys they traded. Tommy Pham's done nothing. He said he wanted to come in for his numbers. He's done pretty much nothing, and they don't have any pitching at all either. And I think they can go on a streak. Any team in baseball go on a streak for like a week or two, but that's gonna be it for the Reds. They just don't have it. The guys aren't playing well. I know they played hard teams, but their better players are not doing anything.
Yeah.
Just wait for Votto to turn around. He does it every year, though. He always starts in a slump for Cincinnati.
But this is like historically bad for him.
Do it again. Get out of it again. He always does.
That's true. He's a guy I've liked, even though they're in the division. I've liked him all the time. But this is a historically bad start for him.
Yeah, it is.
Like slump-wise, too. It's been bad.
Do you know?
No disagreement there.
When he first came in, do you know who he was sharing first base with in Cincinnati? Alec, you might know this name.
I was going to say Sean Casey, but
Scott Hatteberg, the dude from Moneyball that they brought in, the guy that Chris Pratt plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. They were sharing duties.
That's kind of funny.
That is.
I never
That's
think
how
would ever
long
happen to
ago.
all those players in the Moneyball team.
Yeah. He was on the Reds for a little bit, and Dusty Baker was their manager.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if we shouted him out. He got his 2000s win the other night.
Oh,
Dusty Baker.
That's pretty good. I think he's like.
Is he with Houston?
Yeah, I think he's like the 8th manager. They said to get 2,000 wins.
Cool.
Seems like a low number, but I think they said something like that. But
did you guys see yesterday as well that Chewbacca threw out the first pitch for the Blue Jays?
oh, really?
Yeah, for May the 4th.
I didn't see it. That's funny though.
That's great. I'm like, I scroll down on MLB's main page to look for headlines or anything, and that's right there at the bottom. It's just, Chewbacca walking on the field. And, of course, the Blue Jays mascot's getting up there in his face, too.
I could have saw Matt doing that.
What?
Wearing the Chewbacca costume, throwing out the first pitch.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He'd wear a Sasquatch one.
He'd throw it 20 feet over the catcher's head, probably.
So he is.
But can we talk real quick here as we're about to end out the show? Stephen Kwan, man, this dude's unreal. Got the walk-off knock against San Diego last night in the second game. They lost the first one by a run, win the second game. I like what I see out of that. When you go to those doubleheader days, I think that's when you're okay splitting because you probably didn't have your best line in for one of them. You put it in for the second, and the opposing team probably did the opposite of you. So I'm okay with the split against the Padres yesterday, and I like the fact that this kid Kwan, he's really stepping up.
Well, hey, with doubleheaders, it's hard to win both games.
Yeah.
I mean, you split one, that's good. You don't want to lose both, but if you split them, you can take that, and you didn't really lose ground from where you were at the start.
Padres walked off that first one, then we walked off the second one.
And it looked like the Padres were going to win that second game. That 8th inning for Cleveland was that's where they
Mike,
pretty
your
much
squad
did.
had a good turnaround in game 2 as well. After narrowly losing game 1, come out and win it 7-2.
They should have won game 1 because then they had 2 errors in the inning, gave up all 3 runs for Detroit were earned. So they should have won both, but they didn't. I'll take a split. I won't get greedy.
Yeah. But man, that Brewers game yesterday, that's insane. 18-4. That score was outrageous. And then Dodgers over the Giants, 9-1. Apparently, it's so weird to look at San Fran this season because they're still 14-10, but Dodgers do that to them, and you almost kind of just got to look like, oh man, that's not a great spot to be in.
And but Brewers are not up 8-3 now.
It's just going to be yet again a conference that I think we're going to have to watch all season long. Especially with the fact that, Diamondbacks started out the day with the 8-7 victory over Miami, and they're still at 500. And they've done that all against teams at 500. They're 11-11 right now against teams at 500, which might be the most impressive thing out of any team right now in the NL West. And that's even by saying the LA Dodgers have, I believe, the largest differential of runs so far in the season at 57. They put up 114 runs, which is among the leaders right now in baseball, and their bullpen is being ecstatic.
Yeah, a lot of high scores yesterday. I'm looking at them right now. A lot of double-digit scores.
Unfortunately, we don't have time to run through them all here. As other stuff ain't up the time, but we'll be back tomorrow to finish out another week here on the Casual Sports Podcast. Hope you all enjoyed the show today. I've been out front of Matt Morrison and Mike Wolfgang. They're here on YSNLive.com. Power Hour coming up next. Check me out at Bobstein Park tonight on YSNLive.com. I have Newton Falls taking on Campbell Memorial. That does it here for the show. We'll see you later.